All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is Tyler King, the college sports reporter for the Denver Gazette, back with another Buffs recap video. Well, actually, it's my first one in a couple weeks. It's just obviously the bye week, and then the last couple games just wasn't able to get it done with the certain kick times and all that, and the game against Iowa State had to get back down to Denver here for DU hockey game. But here on a Monday after the Buffs lost at Utah. 53-7 this past Saturday at Rice Eccles Stadium. First, just a second time during the Coach Prime era that I wasn't at the game. I was actually up in Laramie for the border war, which also was not pretty. If you're a fan of Colorado State, they lost 28-0 to Wyoming and were kind of a no-show in that game, just like the Buffs were out in Salt Lake City in that loss to Utah, which we've seen a lot of blowouts in this Utah-Colorado rivalry, if you want to speak. We talked about that with Steve Bartle a little bit in the pregame video for the game the other day. But Utah's kind of dominated this matchup. But Colorado finally got the best of them last year with Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter putting on a show in a big win near the end of that season, a rare down season for Kyle Whittingham and the Utes. But they put it right back on the Buffs a year later on their home turf, which I think the most surprising is just how it looked. I mean, I was driving back down, didn't get a chance to watch much of the game. Obviously, watched the replay yesterday on Sunday, and just kind of sped through it because it was just really, really ugly. And you're seeing the same mistakes over and over and over again. And something that Coach Prime touched on in the locker room after the game in the video put up on Well-Off, like, the cat's out of the bag for this group now. Like, it's pretty clear how to beat this Colorado team, and it's pretty clear how to beat this Colorado team convincingly. You blitz the heck out of them, force them to get away from the run game, which has been working the last couple of weeks, and then on defense, just run right down their throats because they're not going to stop you. I mean, all week leading up to the game, we're talking about Devin Dampierre's injury, quarterback for Utah, and how dynamic he is, and if he's not able to go, even if he is able to go, he's not 100%. Like, how could that affect things? Didn't matter at all. Like, Utah, I think the biggest sign was that they didn't think Colorado was a worthy opponent or somebody they had to worry about too much, was the fact that they played Bert Ficklen in this game, the true freshman quarterback who, on the first couple, I mean, he's just leading touchdown drive after touchdown drive in that first half. I mean, they're up 43-0 at halftime, man. Like, there's nothing really else to say, and that's what I was going to try to mention earlier with when I'm driving back down from Wyoming to Denver after the CSU game up there, listen to Mark Johnson and those guys on the call, and they just sound defeated. Like, just they didn't really know what to say because, yes, they've seen this game before. And ironically, 2 years ago when Colorado played, or not 2 years ago, 3 years ago during that disaster 2022 season when Colorado played Utah at Folsom Field, it was 42-0 halftime. It wasn't as bad as this time around. But I mean, the stats tell the story of this one. Like, 587 total yards for Utah, 140 for the Buffs. They could not do anything on the ground. 1 yard per carry, 38 carries, 38 net rushing yards. Utah had 422 rushing yards on 51 attempts, 8 yards per attempt. I mean, what do you even say? Like, this was after a bye week too. Like, the Buffs had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. And again, Coach Prime after the game says you couldn't have told them this was going to happen. They had a great week of practice. Well, I don't know what's going on in practice that they keep being encouraged going into these games and these results keep happening like this. It felt like they finally got the breakthrough against Iowa State. Like I mentioned, that 24-21 win over then it was a ranked team. It felt like it was just a second ranked win during the Coach Prime era. It just felt like it could have been the breakthrough. They finally started moving the ball offensively in the second half of a game, closed out a game, got some big stops defensively, but these guys just did not show up to Salt Lake City. And I think if Coach Prime wants to really evaluate this team, I mean, I think you have to start with the fact that they just missed and whiffed on a lot of transfer guys. And it starts with quarterback Cade Salter. I thought, obviously, when you go from Shedeur Sanders to whoever it was going to be, there's going to be some sort of drop-off at quarterback. They go with Salter, the Liberty transfer, because he's experienced. He won a lot of games throughout his career, but he's just not been consistent at all this season. He's had flashes, some good halves, some good quarters. Even the Iowa State game as a whole was pretty solid, but time after time, he's just not been a guy that's capable of leading a consistent and explosive offense, and that's why Colorado sits near the bottom of the Big 12 in just about every offensive category you can think of. The rushing offense, yeah, it's taken a step forward, but they were last in the country the last 2 years. They couldn't get any worse. And the fact that they have a veteran offensive line, yeah, some of those transfers have been quality players, especially the guys kind of in the middle there of that offensive line alongside Jordan Seaton. But everywhere else, the linebacker play has not been good, and that's mostly transfer guys, which it has been every year under Coach Prime. The guys in the secondary have not been that good. I mean, DJ McKinney and Preston Hodge just have not had the seasons you were expecting after last year playing really well alongside Travis Hunter in the secondary. Tawfiq Byard has probably been the one bright spot among the transfers. Thankfully, he's got a couple years of eligibility left because you want to get the most out of that guy, and he seems like he could be a real player. But the rest of it, the guys on the defensive line have not really produced much at all this season outside of a couple quarters here and there. The wide receivers have been solid, not great. Like I think Omarion Miller and Joseph Williams are good players, and those guys still have years of eligibility left, but they haven't gotten much out of Sincere Brown outside of like the Delaware game. The running backs have each had moments, but those guys have also been banged up, and now they're going to be without a couple of them for the rest of the season. So we'll see where this team goes because there's 4 games left. They have to go 3-1 to make a bowl game, and it felt like making a bowl game would have been a successful season because the program just hasn't made back-to-back bowl games in 20 years. But this team was aiming higher than that. They were talking about winning the Big 12 before the season because they returned a lot of talent from last year's team, guys that came really close to playing for a Big 12 title last year, and they were thought they could get past that and get over the hump and play in that Big 12 title game this year, but they just hadn't been looked anywhere close to a team that's capable of doing that. And I think that's the most disappointing thing is it just looks like some of the effort has really dropped off. I don't know what happened during the bye week. I know Coach Prime hinted on his coach's show last week with Mark Johnson that some guys returned, got back to campus late. I think Omarion Miller was one of them that didn't play the first half. So all of it just kind of was the perfect storm for a really, really brutal performance at Utah. Now they've got to, if they want to not be remembered as a disappointing team, they've got to turn it around in the final 3 games, starting this Saturday against Arizona. It's homecoming, 5 p.m. kickoff on FS1. But this is a pretty good Arizona team, one that has been better than I expected coming into the year. The offense has kind of turned it around. Brent Brennan started to do some nice things with Noah Fafita, who is looking like more like the 2023 version. Obviously, he really struggled last year in 2024, and the Buffs saw that firsthand. They beat up on Arizona pretty good down in Tucson, but that's not going to be the case this time around. I think the Wildcats are 4.5-point favorites here on Monday. Looking toward the week, I think that could grow to closer to a touchdown as we go along here. Arizona's kind of got big play offense that'll test the CU secondary, but they're also going to look to run the ball, and I think they've got a couple guys they can use despite not having the best rushing attack in the Big 12. But Buffs really haven't been able to stop anybody running the football much of this season. So it'll be interesting to see how this team rallies and regroups ahead of these final 4 games. Like I said, they got to go 3-1 to make a bowl game. It's not the most daunting schedule. It's Arizona, and then you got at West Virginia, a game the Buffs actually might be favored in. The only game the rest of the year they'll probably be favored in. Then they've got the second bye week, and then you got Arizona State at home in the regular season or the home finale in the regular season. And Arizona State is not. It got beat up pretty good by Houston this past weekend without Jordan Tyson on the field. So when they're not 100%, even when they are 100%, they're not the juggernaut that many people thought they could be coming into the season. So that could be a winnable game for the Buffs at home. But who knows if they lose this game? Who knows this game against Arizona? I mean, like who knows how south things go? Because I mean, this team has got a lot of veteran guys, some other guys that could be looking for the transfer portal. We'll see what Coach Prime wants to do after this year. Like the health issues have been a thing. He's everything he said has made it seem like he has made it clear that he wants to continue with this program. But if this year keeps going the way it does, I don't know if he wants to keep doing this with this group because it is tough in the Big 12, and he doesn't have the stars that he did when he first got here. When he first got here, even though that 2023 season wasn't great, 4-8. You still had Travis Hunter for an extra year. You still had Shador Sanders for an extra year, and people are going to want to come play with those guys. You felt like you had that in Julian Lewis was going to be a guy that people wanted to come play with, but he's only played 2 series all season. He's another guy that we'll see down the stretch if he's got 30 games left. If he cares about keeping that redshirt year, excuse me. He cares about keeping that. He's got 3 games left he could play in the rest of the year out of these next 4. So that's something to monitor the rest of the way. But like I said, there's could be guys eyeing the transfer portal, looking to already knowing what's coming, because the Buffs are going to try to, if it is Coach Prime continuing on for a 4th year next year, they're going to have to really retool this roster. They've made progress with a good recruiting class coming in from high school ranks, but that's never been what this program and what this coaching staff has been about. Like, we'll see what coaching changes come, because that happens every year. We'll see what who the coordinators are going into next year, some of the position coaches, all that kind of stuff. It could be an interesting offseason, but these guys have 4 weeks left now to change the narrative, because the narrative is not great right now. Like, you could not have played any worse coming off a bye. And now, like Coach Prime said after the game, there's a blueprint for how to beat this Buffs team, and the final 4 teams on the schedule are probably going to try to exploit the heck out of that, with Arizona starting this week, and then West Virginia, Arizona State, and then K-State in the final week of regular season. So who knows? Maybe they turn things around and are able to go on a nice winning streak here, go 3-1, get to a bowl game. I think that would be a very, very successful season for these guys. But if not, man, I think you're going to look at this performance against Utah as the one that sticks out, because Coach Prime talked about, really for the last 2 months, that outside of that Houston game, they had not been in a game where they felt like they got dominated. But there was multiple games this year. 3 of the 5 losses now have come in games where they led by double-digit points. They led by 10 against Georgia Tech early in that game, and they led by 14 points against both BYU and TCU in some of the Big 12 losses. So, but this one, they never had a shot. Like, it was over from the jump, and Utah was more than happy to run up the score on the Buffs in the first half before taking the foot off the gas in the second half with the true freshman quarterback who was in there the entire game. And I mean, yeah, it's just kind of disappointing to see. That's really, you can see I'm kind of at a loss for words. I did not expect this. I thought the Buffs would be more competitive despite being two touchdown underdogs going into this game. I thought they would keep it close, and maybe Utah scores a touchdown late to pull away and make it look make the score look a little bit bigger than it was. But man, this Buffs team just did not show up, and I think that's got to be the most disheartening thing if you're the coaching staff, because what does that say about a team if you feel like you've had a good week of practice and then on Saturday it just translates into this? Like, I think that's probably a talent issue, that's a coaching issue, it's all of it, because performances like that is not going to cut it in this era of Colorado football. And not really in any era of Colorado football, to be honest. Like, despite how bad the program has been in the 20 years before, 15-ish, whatever years before Coach Prime was hired, this program is not one that aspires to be near the bottom of the Big 12, which is where they are right now, sitting at 1-3 in conference play. And now, like I said, probably going to be favored in just 1 game the rest of the way. So thanks everybody for watching and supporting the channel. I'm going to try to have my usual Arizona preview. Going to try to get someone on to help get a deeper look at the Wildcats ahead of Saturday's game, and then after the game, we'll be back with a recap video from that one. So make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know how you guys are feeling in the comments after that Buffs loss, and what you guys think needs to be fixed going forward, because certainly going to be something I'm going to be monitoring this week as the Buffs try to regroup here and get ready for their homecoming game against Arizona, which should hopefully will be a good crowd at Folsom Field up in Boulder. Should be a good atmosphere, and hopefully the team backs it up with a performance of their own. So thanks everybody again for watching, and stay tuned for what's next.